Hello, very good afternoon, everyone. Very good afternoon. We are back to our 3 p.m. Solidarity Beyond 2021. Another very good afternoon for us to keep learning and keep improving in our industry. So, how's everyone feeling? Sorry, we start about a minute late. I do apologize. Got some back end technical errors. All right. Hi, Eunice, Chongming. Thanks for making it. Vishan, Sham, Chiwa, Frank Lim, Raja, hi, thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone. All right, whether you are joining us on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, all right, understand all our sessions every 3 p.m. is a get together for all of us professionals and practitioners in the real estate industry. Not necessarily you have to be from our agencies. This is open for all. It's a place for us to share our knowledge, and it's a place for all of us to come and upskill, okay? Share the good knowledge that we are learning and share the good energy that we are receiving over here. Okay, just before we start off our session, a quick reminder for those of you, especially for today's session, please do try to scan this barcode and register in. Why? Because our speaker of today, Mr. Wong as well, we want to make sure that we record all of our fellow negotiators' details down so that we can easily keep up to date with all these legal details. So I think it will be very informative and helpful for you all to scan here to keep posted with Mr. Wong's legal updates as well. All right. So into our house rules, of course, before that, this session is brought to you together by the initiative of our three agencies, namely CBD Properties, Esprit Estate, and also Profil Property. And again, I reiterate, our intention is very simple. Knowledge is for sharing, and we want to show our speed in sharing knowledge during this hard time so that everybody is ready with more technical skills to apply it practically once this lockdown is over. We can see from last year to this year, there's a lot of pent up frustration in buying already. So we better be ready. And according to all our previous trainings as well, I remind all our fellow professionals, this is the time to continuously advertise, and build up your lead, build up your business. Do not slow down. This is a good time to upskill, change your marketing materials, speed up. Other than that, when you get extra banking information, legal information, do update your clients. That will be very informative of you, and I think your clients will highly appreciate that as well. Okay, so just a short reminder on our media platforms. If you miss out any of our trainings recently, we do upload it on our Solidarity Beyond 2021 channel. And as for our news and updates moving forward, do check us out on WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, all under the same name, Solidarity. All right, let's pick the numbers up. Keep promoting the good energy you're feeling and keep helping us share and like as well. Again, I mentioned the community grows bigger because of all of your great efforts as well. And thank you very, very much for that. All right, our house rules before I introduce the speaker. All right, try to keep our chat room as clean as possible. And when I say clean, don't leave it empty because we expect you to come out with constructive questions or statements for the speaker. All right, asking a lot of questions is good, and don't be shy. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Every question is relevant. Please do ask away. And when keep the chat room clean means don't promote your listings or don't promote other sales items on the chat room lah. All right, so to introduce the topic of the day and the speaker of the day. Yep, can we see the title of the day and the speaker of the day, please? Eh? Hello. Okay, so I'll just verbalize. Anyways, for our title of the day, all right, we have our lawyer, Mr. Wong Wei Fan. All right, he's a managing partner of Wong Wei Fan and Co. He graduated from the University of Hull, UK. His experience include handling conveyancing and related litigations, debt recovery, matrimonial issues, shareholder dispute, corporate advisory, and and further things of that professional practice. All right, so Mr. Wong is not a stranger in this place. Of course, you can see we're lucky enough to have a managing partner come here with all his experience to give us some sharing. So he was also invited as a guest speaker in radio stations and also plenty of online interviews on sharing on related law topics. So his topic of the day for today would be unlocking the caveats. Okay, so before I introduce Mr. Wong in, Mr. Wong, can I please test your mic?
Hi. Hello.
All
Mike.
right. All right.
One,
My
two, three.
simple, yeah, mic is good. My simple understanding of the caveat is basically a notice lah, right? Especially in probate, that actions cannot be taken without informing the person who gave the notice.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. All
General
right.
brief.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So, Sifu, I leave it to you. Very excited to listen from you. Please take us away. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks. Also, thanks for inviting me to the sharing on this beautiful afternoon. And yeah, let me just start the topic. I will share my screen first. All right. Can you all see the slide? Okay. So, Horst, you are helping me to share the slide to you,
Yes.
or is it from my own computer? You're helping me, yeah? Okay, basically, okay, let me start off first while maybe Horst is preparing for the slide. Okay, basically, okay, when we heard about caveat, so most likely, most spontaneously respond, we will be afraid. So we will feel whether to go or not, or whether to buy or not for this property. There's a caveat there. All right. So for today's purpose, I will be more focusing on private caveat, which is more commonly commonly found and in our cases. So basically, there are 4 types of caveat. Can we go to slide page number 3, please? So basically, there are 4 types of caveat, being registrar caveat, private caveat, landholder caveat, and trust caveat. All right, so most commonly what we will see from a land search or from what we are being informed by the vendor or the seller, mostly we will see registrar caveat or private caveat. Before that, let us know what does a caveat do for you, or what is the impact of a caveat. Can we go to next slide? So basically, caveat is it will restrain the dealings. A caveat will prevent any sort of dealing on the land, such as a transfer from an owner to another. Meaning, if we file or if we purchase a property with a caveat lodged on it, we can't do the transfer of land later on. All right, so that's very important. And caveat, the purpose for caveat is serve as to freeze the status quo. A caveat essentially frees the land property and protect, as well as to preserve the status quo to avoid mishaps and contending titles to the claim of ownership. So basically, there are 2 ways, meaning owner might want to protect their interest, or co-owner might want to protect their interest. Therefore, they enter a caveat on the title so that this particular property cannot be transferred, or vice versa. When a purchaser has entered into a sale and purchase agreement, has paid the 10% deposit, so they want to maintain the status quo to prevent the seller from selling this particular property to another person or to the third party. So they will then enter a caveat as well in order to protect their own interest, because they have paid 10%, they enter into a sale and purchase agreement. All right. So it's basically served as a notice lah. So when we do land search, we will find out and we will know whether there's a caveat on that particular property. All right. So at this moment, if everyone clear, can you just give me one in the comment, type a one, so that I can move to the next slide. All right, thanks. Okay, so when we see, next slide, please. Okay, so we are going on what is a registrar caveat. So registrar caveat commonly appear in the land search when there might be possible fraud transaction. Fraud transaction meaning the current owner might obtain this property by fraud from previous owner, from the person before him. He might obtain this by fraud. Or another example, the owner, the real owner, actual owner, found out that his land has already been transferred to someone else, which he doesn't know, and he never sell to. So he will then apply to registrar to lodge a caveat. So I would say, to put it in simple and a conclusion, I would say normally if we see there is any registrar caveat lodged on that particular property or land, it's better that we consider twice before we want to go for it, because it might involve many litigation issues, investigations, or even police involvement in investigation whatsoever. So it might take time and even money consuming if you want to obtain or to purchase this type of property. So I would rather say try to avoid property with registrar caveat. Next slide, please. So this slide will basically just show you the case law and the what is a registrar caveat, like fraud dealing, which I have mentioned previously. Okay, next, can we go to slide number 10? Private caveat. Okay, this is what we are going to be discussing more for today. What is a private caveat? Okay, private caveat also serves the same purpose to prevent any dealing executed by or on behalf of the proprietor, such as registration, endorsement, or entry on the land title. Okay, so how can a private caveat be entered? A person can enter a private caveat by utilizing Form 19B and to state the nature or grounds of the claim on which the application is based. And the private caveat can last for 6 years. Okay, let us go to the example form, which is at page 12. So for page 12, this is an example of the private caveat form. So if you look at paragraph number 2, that's very particular because if you want to lodge a private caveat, you must have a reasonable grounds why you want to caveat this property. So you have to state your reason at the column here, the paragraph number 2. The grounds of my claim to the land interest are. So you will have to state your grounds why you want to enter a caveat against the property. And then you will have to pay the prescribed fees to land office together with some supporting document. Then you may lodge your caveat. And this particular number 2, the paragraph 2 is very important, because if any dispute later on, let's say we go to court, we want to argue or we want to litigate whether this caveat should be maintained, the court will look at the grounds or look at the reason at this paragraph number 2 only. You cannot later on raise any other ground other than what you have stated in paragraph number 2. So for example, you are now entering a caveat by saying that I am a purchaser, I have paid 10% deposit. So you will be all this ground will be stated at paragraph number 2. You cannot later on when go to court to say, oh, I have other grounds other than this, because this is maybe my grandfather lands, so I want to claim it. You cannot raise any other reason other than what you have stated in paragraph number 2. Okay, so this is how a caveat entered. And I will say in the practice in our land office practice, because later on I will talk about what is caveatable interest, because you need to have valid caveatable interest for you to maintain your caveat. All right, but for land office purpose, when you enter a caveat, they don't really examine or verify your grounds, whether you had a very grounds or not. They do very minimal checking on that only. Meaning to say, as long as you state some reason in your paragraph number 2 with some supporting document and you pay your fees, most likely, or there will be chances, you can lodge the caveat, even if maybe legally you are not entitled to it. Because land office, they are just doing procedural checking or entering the process only. They don't really go into the root of the matter. They don't really examine in detail whether you can or you have the right to enter such caveat or not. They do very minimal checking only. That's why I always said, actually private caveat, if you have the skill on how to enter or how to apply, you most likely you may actually successful enter a caveat. But will the caveat be later on removed? That's another story lah. Now we are talking about entering only. We will discuss about the removal of it later on. So for entering purpose, like I reiterate, if you have the sufficient skill, you might be able to enter. That's why I always say, when a purchaser or even during the sale and purchase transaction, if we find out a caveat suddenly be lodged, we don't need to panic actually, because that person might just be using some trick or whatsoever and enter the caveat, but we can remove it later on. It's only a matter of time. Okay, that I will discuss in detail later as well. So for the purpose now, we are talking about entering caveat. So if we are all okay on this, can you please type 2 for me, number 2, so that I will move to next slide. All right, thanks. So host, can we go to next slide, page 11, please? All right, on page 11, we will see how is the private caveat removed. Okay, it can be by way of self-withdrawal. Self-withdrawal meaning where the caveator himself may withdraw the private caveat by Form 19G. Okay, let us just understand some terminology here. Caveator meaning the person who enter the caveat, the person who lost the caveat. We normally call him caveator. So the person who lost the caveat can remove or can withdraw the caveat by his own motion or by his own accord by filing the relevant Form 19G at land office, or the registered owner, like the case I mentioned just now. Suddenly my land, when I want to sell to some the purchaser, we already enter into a sale and purchase agreement, but somehow out of sudden a third party come and caveat my land. So the purchaser might say, oh, I want to withdraw, or I don't want this already anymore, things like that. So then I can apply to remove the caveat which has been wrongfully caveat on my property. So to do that, I will have to file the form, the slide, or I can apply to court. But for normal practice, I would say apply to land office is more practical, because most of the time the person who entered private caveat tend to be they have no caveatable interest, so we can apply to land office. Like the example I have given just now, we have entered into a sale and purchase agreement. The purchaser has paid me 10%, but somehow in the midst of the transaction, third party lodged a caveat onto my property. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to apply to land office. So I will file the relevant form to land office. The land office, upon receive my application, they will send a notice to Kewetor. Kewetor meaning the person who enter the Kewet against my land. So they will serve a notice to the Kewetor, and the Kewetor have to go and get a court order in order to maintain the Kewet. So they have to go and file to court and get an order and send the order, court order, to land office, so that land office will maintain the Kewet. And he has to do it within 2 months. If the Kewetor cannot obtain a court order to maintain the Kewet within 2 months, the land office will then remove the Kewet. So that's it. That's why I always say we don't need to be so worried about private Kewet, because the owner, the registered owner, can just file a removal and then it will be removed after 2 months, as long as the Kewetor did not obtain a court order. So when the Kewetor, if he has no reason, he wouldn't, I mean, practically, when he has no reason, he wouldn't go and apply to court in order to maintain the court order. All right, so then we will see an example here. Okay, next slide, 13. This is how to apply to remove a private Kewet. This is the example form 19H. So what the landowner will do, the landowner can engage a lawyer to file the relevant form at land office. And then at slide number 15, this is a real life example. The Kewetor will then receive this letter, this particular letter from land office at slide 15, page 15. All right, the Kewetor will receive this notice from land office. In the content of the letter is stated, sekiranya terdapat bantahan terhadap notis tersebut, Tuan bolehlah mengemukakan bantahan tersebut ke mahkamah dan dimajukan ke pentadbiran ini dalam tempoh 2 bulan dari tarikh penyampaian. Which means the Kewetor, after receiving this notice from land office, he has to go and apply to the court within 2 months to get the court order to maintain the Kewet and serve this court order to land office. So in practical real life situations, normally this kind of process, it will take maybe additional 1 week, 2 months and a week, because the Kewetor has got 2 months time frame to obtain for court order. After the lapse of 2 months, I mean for practical procedural purpose, the land office internal procedure, they have to get the upper officer to signature lah, need that pegawai signature, so that they might take another weeks in order for the private Kewet to be successfully removed. Okay, so that's it. The law stated 2 months, but in practical situation, after 2 months, they still need to got some upper superior ranking approval, so that they might take another 1 week in order to remove the Kewet. Okay, so these are basically how you enter and how you remove, meaning the Kewetor can remove by himself if, let's say, they have made a successful discussion or whatsoever. Or the registered owner, he can just apply to the land office in order for the Kewet to remove. So we go to page 20, slide 20. Okay, how do we know whether there's a private Kewet on the lands, on that particular property or land? All right, I think this one may be already commonly known. Is by conducting a land search, be it private land search or official land search. Okay, next slide. 21 is talk about what is an official search. I think I would not go to focus on this one. Okay, next slide, please. This one maybe just we have a quick going through only, difference between private land search and official land search, how to conduct a land search in Malaysia. Okay, basically you just go to the land office, apply for it, pay the prescribed fees, 30 ringgit or 40 ringgit, you will get a private search. And almost immediately you will get the search, the result of the search. Okay, let's see page 23. So at page 23, you can see the column, the box highlighted in red color. That is where you can see keyword pendaftar aftershare. Okay, so this is a land search. On this land search, we found there's a keyword, and this is a keyword pendaftar. Like I said, so for keyword pendaftar, we might need to really know, understand the nature in order to decide whether we still want to proceed or not. So if private land search, it will show at the same page as well. All right, so next 25 page. 25. Okay, so can we find out the purpose of why the keyword was entered into? Yes. So first thing, we do a land search first, be it private land search or official land search. After we have done the land search, we find out there's a keyword, be it whatsoever keyword, we find out there's a private keyword on it. So now we want to know why this somebody or this third party want to enter a keyword. So we can further extract the Form 19B at the land office as well in order to find out what is the reason. So like I have shared just now, this Form 19B, after we have extract the same from the land office, we look at paragraph number 2, the grounds. Okay, so at this part, we will know why this creditor want to enter a keyword. So there they may stated S&P lah, or money purpose lah, or whatsoever. So we can then determine whether we still want this property. Because normally normally I would say generally what we've seen on the market, there might what we call loan shark long money so that could be the most common reason. Or there might be some dispute, but that dispute is minor one, as in there is no charitable interest. What I meant by minor one, we have experience where we have entered a certain purchase agreement. So later on, before we disperse the money, we do another land search. Then we find out there's a private keyword. So we do the search, we find out the reason, we confirm with the owner why this person want to enter a keyword. The owner then feedback to us, because prior to this purchaser, he has entered not sell and purchase agreement yet, only an offer to purchase a booking form with another purchaser. But that purchaser subsequently refused to honor, refused to buy. So then this owner has forfeited the earnest deposit. So now this previous purchaser, he just come back, just trying to be funny or balas dendam trying to take revenge. So he just simply enter a keyword here just try to disturb him, try to disturb the current owner on his subsequent sale. So what we do, we don't need to be panicked. We find out the reason. We just apply for removal of keyword, like I have mentioned just now. Apply the form, but the thing we have to wait for 60 days That's the only thing, 60 days. If he can get the court order, then that's another story. We will have to go to court already to fight. All right. But if he can't get the court order after 60 days, like I say, practically 60 days, 2 months plus 1 week, they will be removed the keyword. Okay. So until this stage, if I can get a three from you all, so that we can proceed to next slide. All right, thanks. So I assume we are good now. So far, so good. What is private keyword? What is registrar keyword? How to enter a keyword? How do we remove a keyword? Okay. So now we are going to next slide, which is at page 26. Next slide, please. Okay. All right. What is a keywordable interest? Like I said just now, when we try to enter a keyword at the paragraph 2, the ground, we actually need to have keywordable interest in order to enter a keyword. But for practical or for procedural purpose, when we do so in the land office, the land office don't really check on that. I mean, minimal we can't say they didn't really check on that. They only do minimal checking on that, which means we can quite there are high chances for us or for anyone to enter a private caveat, even if you don't have the caveatable interest in the eyes of law. Meaning, even if you are not entitled to lodge a caveat, but most likely you are still able to do it because the checking part. All right, so now we are talking about legal. What is a caveatable interest? Like I say just now, if the caveator want to maintain the caveatable the caveat, they need to show to court they have caveatable interest. Or when we want to apply to court to remove the caveat, we will ask the caveator to show what is your caveatable interest. So we will now examine what is a caveatable interest. Normally, caveatable interest actually under the law, they don't really they give the wording person who claim the titles. So how to interpret claiming titles is subject to case law. Under National Land Code, how they define caveatable interest, they only mention you need to claim title. Meaning to say, if you lodge a caveat, like I said just now, Along case, loan shark, they actually want to claim for money. They are not claiming for title for the property. They actually have no caveatable interest in the eyes of law, because when you want to claim for monetary debts or whatsoever, that is personal in rem. All right, that's the legal right in your personal, but you are not actually claiming for the title of the property. So who is claiming for the title of the property? I.e., example, purchaser. Yes, why purchaser? Because purchaser has paid the 10% deposit, and he has entered a sale and purchase agreement, so that he will eventually become the new owner, or after the bank had dispersed the loan sum, after he has fully paid the purchase price, he will become the new owner. So he is coming here to claim the title of the property. He actually want the property. He don't want the money, or he doesn't want other thing else. He just want the property. So the person, when you are claiming a title, you will have caveatable interest. All right. So now we can look at some example by case law. However, booking form, he held that in fact actually a booking form doesn't give you the right to have a caveatable interest. Reason being, you only pay a 2% refundable earnest deposit subject to loan or whatsoever. And then you have not entered into a formal sale and purchase agreement yet. Therefore, you are not actually claiming the title yet. You enter caveat, you just want the sake of your 2% to be secured, that you have duly paid. But you are not yet in a position to actually claim for the title. So this is what the case law say. And if you can see the case of Wong Fuk Seng, all right, I have highlighted subject to contract cases, meaning to say because the court held a booking form have no caveatable interest because it's subject to contract. All right, so this is another, I would say, another details of law because whether a booking form is a valid binding contract and subject to contract, it can be distinguished or it can be established that a booking form could be a contract by itself already. All right, but this is subject to case basis, and also the wording of your booking form. I have a case in Ipoh a few years back, whereby involved with caveat and specific performance as well, because the owner eventually refused to sell. And in that particular case, they don't have booking form because they are neighbors, so they're dealing with each other. They do a sumpah, statutory declaration. So then after they have to do the sumpah, they have to do the SD, statutory declaration form. The purchaser did pay certain earnest deposit in that particular case. The High Court, Ipoh High Court in that particular case actually held that the sumpah itself is sufficient, the SD, because they have stated very clearly the subject matter, the price, the subject property, time frame to pay, terms of payment, location, address, everything has already precisely stated. So it held that that particular SD is actually a binding contract. In that case, they will say if that is the binding contract, I will say it has a cavetable interest. But that would be more detailed and more technical lah. All right. So I would say generally, we go back to generally, the case law held that a booking form has no cavetable interest. All right. So who else have the cavetable interest? Example, purchaser or mutual owner or charger of the property, meaning the bank. The bank can enter a caveat also, because the bank, not only they are securing their money, yes, they are securing their money, but if the purchaser later on fail to pay back the money, or there is something happen to the property, they actually have the right to claim the property as well. They have the right to claim and auction the property. That's why they have a cavetable interest, because they are claiming for the title as well. Therefore, cavetable interest is subject to interpretations, whether you are coming against the title. If you are coming against the title and you can persuade the court, you may have a cavetable interest. Okay, we go to next slide. Next slide about wrongful. Okay, how about wrongful entry of caveat? The owner has a remedy. So let's say you enter a caveat against me. I apply for removal, or I can counter sue you for that, for wrongful entry of caveat. Because why? But the damages what I have suffered must be proved and must not be too remote, and must be actual damages. For example, if you have wrongful caveat my property, resulted a potential purchaser who might have paid deposit, who might have entered into sale and purchase agreement, then withdraw. Okay, and then I can't get the same price on subsequent purchaser, or the market price has dropped already since then, I might have rights to claim such remedies or such damages from you. So it has to be careful also when enter a caveat, because if the owner actually has the right to sue to claim for damages on wrongful caveat. Okay, before we move to next, I will give me a number 4, so that we go to next. Okay, I see 3 questions here. Let me just answer first. Who decide on whether there is a cavetable registrable interest? Okay, cavetable interest, who decide? Like I say, if on land office level, they do only minimal checking, all right, so that you might pass. You might not have a cavetable interest, but you are able to lodge a caveat. Like I said, because land office, they don't actually duty bound, even in law, they don't actually duty bound to examine it. They just do the proper form. As long as you enter form, you have your grounds, you pay the fees, you have some supporting document, pass. They might give you a pass already, you can enter. But in order to say who actually decide whether someone or anyone have a cavetable interest, is court. Okay, only court can decide whether you have a cavetable interest. Means everyone can lodge the caveat easily by just paying the fees, even though it might not be legally. I will say generally you have the chances. I cannot say everyone can lodge. I wouldn't use the very affirmative sentence. You have the chances, like I said, because they do only minimal checking. So you might have the chances to lodge a caveat, even though you don't have cavetable interest, or you don't have the right legally. Booking form need to be stamped to have a cavetable interest. Like I say, actually stamped or not stamped is another issue. General case law held that booking form actually, in the eyes of law, a booking form doesn't give you the right to enter caveat based on case law. But like I say, it might be can distinguish, might be arguable, but it's subject to more further the technical question. if you can prove to the court that your booking form is a valid binding formal agreement already, then maybe you have the right. All right. Okay, I thanks for the response. Okay, we will go to next. Specific performance. All right, now we're touching a little bit other than the caveat. Why I want to share on this, because normally there are situations also. Okay, for example, the vendor, like I mentioned the case just now, the vendor does, after enter into a sale and purchase agreement, he suddenly changed his mind, doesn't want to sell. So the purchaser might want to ask for specific performance. Specific performance meaning to say, to compel, to make the vendor to compulsory sell off the property to the purchaser. Even in the event the vendor might refuse to sign the MOT, the court can sign on behalf, so that the property will then be eventually transferred to the purchaser. This is what we call specific performance, to compel a person to do something which he's reluctant to do. All right. So this might take a long time for the court case to be ended or to have a final decision or awarded by the court. So in order to maintain status quo while we are maybe fighting in court, we are litigating in court, so the purchaser may want to enter a caveat also, so that to make sure that the owner cannot sell to other one, the property cannot transfer to any other person before the case has got a decisions. So that's that's one of the effect or one of the purpose of caveat as well lah. So since we go to that, we will talk a little bit on this specific performance also. So what is allowed and what is not allowed? Commonly, if damages are not an adequate remedy, then the court might order specific performance. For example, I'm the purchaser. I already sell off my current house and I moved to Johor Bahru in order to start my new career. That's why I buy a new house from you at Johor. Now you can't suddenly say you don't want to sell to me already, because I have moved here, or I have sold my old house, or things like that, or I have maybe renovated this house. Say they have taken the vacant possession, they have get the keys earlier prior to completion. Maybe the vendor allowed them to do renovation. They have done so. They do the renovation, so they might have the rights. Okay, things like that. Or on the other hand, vendor might have the right to ask for specific performance as well. Not only the purchaser. There might be times when after sale and purchase agreement, but prior to the completion, purchaser suddenly say, "Hey, I don't want to buy your property already." The vendor then might compel him to buy also. So they need to prove special circumstances, and that damages is not acquitted, meaning to forfeit your 10% or to get the compensation of 10% only is not sufficient. I have to compel you. So they are at the left column, maximum of equity. There are other terms in law also. In order to get a specific performance, you need to come to equity with clean hands. You cannot delay. All right, things like that. And also next slide. So in this case, they already stated also, normally under a sale of immovable property, monetary compensation cannot be an adequate remedy, meaning to say, a purchaser of a vendor can actually has the right to go for specific performance. Even the compensation, they can say, oh, it's not a remedy which is adequate to me or which is accepted by me. However, of course, they have the burden, and the party seeking for specific performance must show to the satisfaction of the court that he is ever ready and willing to perform the contract. Meaning to say, if a purchaser want to get specific performance, he has to show also he has paid the balance, he has paid the 10%, He also already got the bank loan ready, letter offer approved, signed, loan document executed, stamping fee paid. If not paid, he has ready. And also, if there's difference between the loan sum and the purchase price, he has got the cash to top up. He's ever ready, everything. Then he might has the right. So, but this is what they have to show to the court in order to get a specific performance. All right, so I have basically shared on private caveat, and if there's any question to ask, or maybe something you all need to know, maybe I can share more on that. Okay, caveat, private caveat will be removed automatically after 6 years. I've seen a question there. All right, to answer your question, 6 years. A private caveat will last for 6 years. If let's say nobody go and remove or whatsoever, after 6 years, it will be lapsed. Do we need to appoint lawyer to remove caveat? All right. You can do it by your own if you know how to do it lah. I mean, basically, it's like changing car engine oil. You don't necessarily go to a workshop. Workshop if you know how to do it. So as long as you have the know-how on how to do it, you can actually do it on your own. Can we take legal action against the person who lodged the caveat without valid interest? Yes, we can take legal action against the person, and we can even ask for damages. Actually, like explained in the slide just now, but in order to get damages, you need to prove lah. Actually, you have a burden to prove, and that damages must be very certain and must be foreseeable, and there is actual loss suffered by you. You can't just simply say lah, oh, I want to claim for this, claim for that, everything valuation report. I mean, there must be justifiable cost for you to claim. Would they be notified on the expiration? No, there won't be notification to you. They will lapse automatically after 6 years. To answer Caroline, how much does it cost to remove caveat? Around 1,000, maybe, depends on the locations. Joanne Lau, can the caveat renew for another 6 years? Actually, you don't need to renew. After 6 years, you just lodge another caveat. It can be done. Serene Law, what will be the requirement for a party to lodge a private caveat? Title number, yes. Sharina, to answer your question, yes, you need the title number. You need the title number so that you can lodge a caveat. And then you need to pay the prescribed fees. If KL Selangor, around 340. All right, state your reason at paragraph number 2 with some supporting documents. Yeah. Lily Law is only private caveat hold for, yes, private caveat 6 years. How to process caveat for heritage building, Joy? I don't really understand your question. If you don't mind to just rephrase, like, what do you mean by heritage building? I mean, for private caveat, as long as you got the title number, you got your reason, you file in the prescribed form 19B, as shown just now, I mean in the slide, so that you can proceed to caveat. What is the cost to do a caveat through lawyer and on sale do? What is the fees? Like I said, if you go to land office by yourself, it's around 300 something, 340 to 360. As compared to a lawyer, they might charge around 1,000 or 1,005, depends on the preparations, depends on the grounds you want to state, and also depends on the location of your property, where is the land office located. To answer Rajesh's question, you need to know. We need to know the actual reason, whether there is a. I can answer your question in two ways, lah. All right. First thing is about caveat. Second is about bank lelong, bank option. Okay. For whether if there is a caveat, whether the purchaser still can buy or still encourage the purchaser to buy. Like I say, you need to first find out what is the caveat first. All right. And then to do a land search. Secondly, if there is really a caveat lodged on the property, you can then extract Form 19B. So at Form 19B, you will see the reason why the caveat is being lodged. Okay, at paragraph number 2. So you examine or discuss with your lawyer whether that particular reason is valid or not. If there is not a valid or legal reason, I will then suggest just apply for removal, wait for 60 days, and then you can buy the property, or you can even sign the S&P, but you put condition precedent with the condition that the caveat being removed within 60 days. Then we will only pay the 10%, or the 10% to be held by the lawyer first. Don't release to the vendor. As long as we can remove the caveat after 60 days, then only release to the vendor. So forth and so on. Actually, there are many ways to tackle this question. I would suggest better consult a lawyer for more details or for more better analyzing on this issue. Second, you talk about lelong. There might be a lelong on this house. All right. For what I'm understanding or what I have encountered, if the purchaser has gotten a bank loan, bank offer letter, S&P has been signed, the vendor can actually discuss with the bank not to lelong first, just to hold on for a bit, because the purchaser bank will then disperse the money already. And then when the purchaser bank disperse the money, they will first settle the owner bank loan first. The bank will get the money anyway. Of course, if the purchaser is solid as in the sense they have entered into sale and purchase agreement, has gotten a valid loan offer letter. So normally the vendor bank, they will accept this kind of proposal from the vendor, because what they want to get the money back only. They want to get the borrowing sum back. So actually, if they put on lelong, they might get lesser, even from the lelong price. So if now have a purchaser with solid offer letter, and the bank will first settle the purchaser bank will first settle the seller bank first, most likely they will accept lah. Okay, maybe the other briefing we will. Okay, lien holder caveat. Okay, just seeing there's some request there. other briefing, other type of caveat. I will just go through landholder caveat and trust caveat. Okay, landholder caveat. Most likely, landholder caveat would be entered by, I would say, licensed money lender. They are not the bank, but they do have the legal right to borrow to borrow to, I mean, to borrow. They do have this money borrowing license, money borrowing business. So most likely they might put landholder caveat, all right, to secure their monetary interest. Because like I said, private caveat is only for you to secure your, if you have the right to claim for the title, then you will enter caveat. So for monetary basis and for money license lender, normally they will enter landholder caveat. All right, for trust caveat normally applied by the trustee lah, or by the beneficiaries. All right, trust caveat meaning I'm holding this property as a trustee on behalf of the two other beneficiaries, so that you will see a trust caveat there. So trust caveat, I will say we can proceed also, as long as we get the consent of the beneficiary. All right, because the beneficiary, they might a trust caveat, it will show you who is the trustee, who are the beneficiaries. So as long as you got the beneficiary acceptance to sell this property at the agreed price, I will say as long as you all can agree, you can probably go for it. All right. Mention that caveat interest for joint ownership can parties involved in the transfer by will. Actually, Joe, this I have encountered this, and they are very. If you ask me personally, I will argue that yes, they have the right, because they are claiming the title by will. I mean, I'm the beneficiary under the will. All right, under the will, so that the property, after everything, after all the court procedure, probate done, it will be eventually transferred to me. So actually, I have the right to claim for title. All right, I will say yes, but I did see case law which said that the beneficiary under the will don't actually have the capitable interest. So it's quite conflicting to me. Probably if you really got this kind of dilemma, you need to get, the lawyer to study all your documents in order to actually ascertain everything with more info.
All right. Great stuff. I think Mr. Wong have addressed all the questions that was asked from our audience today. As I mentioned, I would just like to pull up the registration slide again, because for further information and for the slide sharing as well by Mr. Wong, for those of you who have registered, we will be in touch, and then we will pass the relevant details to you lah. Am I right, Mr. Wong?
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't mind admin. Can we please come out with a slide of the registration again, in case any of our fellow colleagues has missed this out? Yeah, please do scan so that we can keep you updated with Mr. Wong's details. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before you leave, again, reminder, please try to register. Okay, on behalf of everyone from our Solidarity program, Mr. Wong, whether we are from CBD, Esprit, Profil, or any of our live Facebook page, voice out for everybody. thank you so much for making your time for us, Mr. Wong. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you all.
For those of you have asked for Mr. Wong's contact, a few people asking for Mr. Wong's contact, please do register and scan on your code. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Wong, I might have interrupted you.
Again?
I might have interrupted you, sorry.
Oh, no. It's all right.
All right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, on behalf of everyone, Mr. Wong, thank you so much for making your kind time for us. We hope to hear from you again. It was very informative. I am sure we all learned a lot. So thank you so much, Mr. Wong. Thank you very much.
All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, stay tuned. Tomorrow we are back again on our Solidarity Beyond 2021. Join us on Facebook or join us on YouTube Live. Please share with your fellow colleagues as well. And thank you so much for sharing your good energy, good comments, and good time with us. Cheers and stay safe at home, everyone. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. See you.